in key, aren't you?
There I am. There we go. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Something's funny.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lovewell. I'm a folk singer from the island of Martha's Vineyard, and seated right next to me is Conole, one of my dear buddies, associates, conspirators, troublemakers, wonderful. We make music and we do folk music.
And we have a good time, even when we mess up.
Especially when we mess up. It brings the best sense of humor part out of us. Whenever Mark goes down the wrong road.
Hey, I've done it too.
I'm going to be slightly self-effacing tonight. But anyway, we have a great show for you tonight. We really put a lot of thought into it. And I just want to let you know we're warm.
If you see an extra shine,
if you see us sweating,
dripping.
we don't have it. We're not like most performers on stage in front of cameras. We don't have any powder on us to absorb the moisture.
Well, just the thought of powder makes me hot.
So anyhow, the good news is we're going to have a good show tonight.
We're going to prevail. We're going to prevail. And we have a theme for tonight's show, don't we?
We have what?
We have a theme.
Oh yeah, we have a theme for the shows tonight. I mean, in addition to the maritime, which is always our theme, we always
It's always related to that.
all
Yeah,
right, we can
exactly.
put this away.
All right, this you're
Okay, I
right.
got
Let's get this
away,
guy
'cause
out
that'll
here.
confuse me forever.
Totally.
Yeah, we have a theme for tonight, and
Yeah.
want to talk about it? We can talk about it.
What are we talking about?
I want to talk about wind.
Wind is number one. We've had a lot of that, but variable this week.
Variable wind.
Variable wind.
We're also going to talk about the stars and planets overhead. And I mean, it's not like we're going to be anything profoundly scientifically shaking, earth-shaking when we talk to these themes, but it was just nice to have a theme to think about, you think about, we think about in this week of hot weather, really hot weather. So anyhow, one of the songs, so many songs that I sing, maritime songs, refer to weather, refer to the wind. It's such a big deal. And so, of course, when the sailors of the 18th century and 19th century got together and shared stories, it was so much of it was devoted to the topic of weather. So, of course, why not? Why not? In Boston, New York, and Buffalo, 500 brave Americans wailing for to go there singing. Blowy winds in the morning, blowy winds high ho, and it's all the way to run and get and blow, boy, slow.
I know this one really well.
They tell you the whaling ships are running in and out. They say they'll take 500 sperms for their 6 months out there singing. Blow your winds in the morning, blow your winds high ho, and it's on the way, running get and blow, Well, now we're out at sea, my boys. The wind begins to
Blow.
and half the watch is sick on deck, and the rest are down below.
Oh, yeah.
They're singing.
Blow your winds in the morning, blow your winds high ho,
And it's on the way, running here,
blow your winds blow.
and it's on the way, running here, boy. So Molly, what do you think the last word to this song is?
Oh, I got lucky on that one. Yeah, so we just figured out what we were gonna do for this show just a little while ago, and he puts down "'tis advertised in Boston." I'm like, do I know that one? I'll fake it. So there you go.
And you did a really good job.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I bet you guys got some of that too.
It's time to make a toast to our followers.
A toast.
If you're with us tonight.
I bet they're here. Let's have a toast. Let's have a little
There's
a toast. Oh, and I have a shout
I
out
hope you
to
have something
ginger beer,
cold and
too.
some cold libation, because
It's hot.
Yeah, here's to all of you.
To all of you.
Amen.
Amen. Ginger beer coldness going down. Can I give a shout out to ginger beer too? It
You have
has
to
to do
tell
with the
everybody that
weather.
we don't get any financial benefit from talking
That's
about
right.
ginger
That's
beer.
right.
Yeah, please.
But we had a really windy, rough crossing. I think we talked about it last week of the Buzzards Bay, where the wind kicked up and it was not what was on the weather forecast. And there was one time when I didn't look out on the horizon, and I was looking in the boat. I had to do something, and I'm looking up, and I'm like, "Oh, I don't feel so good. I don't know if I feel so good." And I was like really struggling with that, and I managed to reach over to the little bit of ginger beer I had left. One sip was all it that took, and I was good. So I swear by this stuff now. It's good. Helps in the wind.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, and the wind was blowing.
We all love it. I mean, I love ginger beer for lots of reasons.
That's right.
Come all young sailormen, listen to me. I'll sing you a song of the fish in the sea. Listen to this chorus.
Here we go.
Blowing winds westerly, westerly blow. We're bound to the southern, so steady she goes. There's so many songs with leather in the chorus. Come all young sailormen, listen to me. I'll sing you a song of the fish in the sea. Blowing winds westerly, westerly blow. We're bound to the southern, so steady she goes. Now up comes the whale, the biggest of all. He went up aloft and let all the sails fall. Blowing winds westerly, westerly blow. We're bound to the southern, so steady she goes. Now up comes the mackerel with his striped back. He stands up on deck and says, my name is Jack. Blowing winds westerly, westerly blow. We're bound to the southern, so steady she goes. Now up comes the bluefish, he's a wagging his tail. He flips and he flops and says, time to make sail. Blowing winds westerly, westerly blow. We're bound to the southern, so steady she goes. Now up comes the flatfish and we call him Skate. If you'll be the captain, I'll be the mate. Blowing winds westerly, westerly blow. We're bound to the southern, so steady she goes. Now up comes the swordfish, he's the king of the sea. We're coming about, boys, so heartily. Blowing winds westerly, westerly blow. We're bound to the southern, so steady she goes. One more verse.
My favorite.
Up comes the fisherman. He's stalwart and grim. He dips his big net in and scoops them all in. Blowing winds westerly, westerly blow. We're bound to the southern, so steady she goes. Blowing winds westerly, westerly blow. We're bound to the southern, so steady she goes.
Yay! I'm just gonna check in with everybody over here.
Yeah, so just check and see if we've got any people coming in.
I think we got people here with us. Yay!
Aww.
Oh yeah!
Aww.
Hey, wonderful!
Molly's looking at a computer screen that shows all the names of people who are
We're
commenting.
commenting, and we got Pam and Carol and Joanne here from the West Coast. Isn't that nice? Awesome!
Oh my gosh, that's terrific.
I know we got others too, and we thank you all for being here, whether you're telling us you're here or not. We're glad you're here.
Whatever the temperature is outside. Thank you for joining with us.
Yeah, yeah.
So the last thing I want to say about wind is that obviously the wind is a critical part of the whole business of sailing in the 19th and 18th century. Fishermen depended on wind to propel their boats. And that's not the case now. Today the wind is all kinds of, it's what kicks up the seas and can ruin your day, or there's no wind at all and you're sitting idle. And I think Molly and I in the last week we did it the full range.
The full range.
We went from calm. Sunday morning, if any of you were with us a week ago Sunday, it was barely a breeze.
It just said calm. It didn't even say winds expected to be anything.
It was just calm. They couldn't even say light and variable because they were just calm.
Calm.
And then later on in the afternoon, it picked up, and then it's picked up for much of this week, and we've been just.
We had gusts of 30 miles an hour today, right?
We had it. It's up to 31, gusts of 31, according to the Weather Service. So we're not even telling you what, according to the fishermen or the sailors out there, but blowing, so blowing. Yesterday, Molly and I went for a sail, and I miscalculated. I should have reefed before we left the mooring.
Wasn't his fault. It picked up. It just picked up.
It just picked up, and so we had to lower sail and motor back because anyway.
Not too crazy, and in a busy harbor.
In a busy harbor, we just motored. So, but that's the magic of being on a coastal water. We just it's not
still beautiful.
I hope we're not portraying this as though we're complaining.
It was a hardship.
It was the challenges of our life. I wish life was that easy, right? That all you complain about is the weather and the wind, because there's nothing you can do about it, but we can certainly experience it together. And so, anyway, we got a buzz this week. I did a show Wednesday night. No singing.
No singing, no wind, not
Molly
wind
was
related.
there with me. It wasn't even a matter of when. I did a stargazing program in the center of the island in one of Manuel F. Corella State Forest. And we had 70 people show up.
It was a great crowd of people who just wanted to look up at the wonder that is up in the sky.
And so I gave a tour without leaving anything, just standing there with my head up and a laser. I had a laser, green laser, and I could point out each of the stars. And I haven't really put much emphasis on it, and I had none in this Sunday night show thing. So I'd be really interested in the comments, how you folks feel about it, because I sort of feel like my goal in life on Sunday night show is just to focus on the ocean and the amazing stories that we can cook up around that topic. But stargazing is very much like going to sea.
Well, how about navigation in times gone by? And still some people are navigating by the stars, right?
That's right.
It's important.
With the sextant and all, yeah. They have an awareness about it. So it was a wonderful show we did. And, Molly was there standing by my side, as she does.
Looking up. I was
looking up.
It was beautiful.
And, it showed the summer triangle. The principal stars of the summer. There are 3 separate constellations. And we pointed it out to people. And of course, obviously, we looked at the Big Dipper.
We could almost see the Little Dipper.
We saw the North Star.
You showed us Scorpio, the constellation of that.
And I'm not going to rattle these off just because I'm trying to be a show-off, but just to let you know that everywhere we looked in the night sky, there was a star to talk about. There was Antares and Scorpio, and then there was
the only thing
Deneb,
we couldn't see was the planets, right?
There were no planets, only one planet we could see that night.
Oh, that's right. There was one.
There was only one planet we could see that night.
We were standing on it.
That's right.
That was your line. I stole your line.
I held them on that moment. I told them that. Well, I'm sorry, we only have one planet to look at tonight. And in fact, you at home right now can look at that same planet. We can all look at it together.
That was funny. Everybody laughed.
Because I think people were expecting to see a planet or 2 or 3.
And it's funny that they're all in the morning sky now.
Yeah, right. In the morning sky, come up around midnight. Saturn comes out around midnight, and then. But later this summer, we're gonna have a show. We're gonna have a Saturn, Jupiter, Mars. Mars is gonna join us late in the fall. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be terrific. And anyway, so it was a great opportunity for all of us to gather.
It was a great clear night.
Yeah. Didn't cost anybody anything. It was paid for by the local libraries, all of the libraries.
Yeah, what a great
all the
turnout.
libraries on Martha's Vineyard gave me an honorarium to do this program. because as you already know, because I hammer you all the time for funding, I'm always looking for a way to pay the bills. And I can pay the bills with the help of doing stargazing programs. Anyway, so we're talking about that because obviously, let me know in the comments, and we're going to share a little bit more story with you because we've got the Perseid meteor shower coming up next week.
Mm-hmm.
However, we've got a full moon. What day is the full moon? Look in here.
August 11th.
Thursday, August 11th, we have a full moon, and that's going to mess up your plans to watch the Perseid meteor shower. But it's a full moon.
It's a full moon.
And we love the full moon.
And we're going to talk about the moon in a minute, but we got to get back to the stars because we got a star poem. Weren't you going to read a star poem?
Oh, you want that star poem? Oh,
yeah,
I forgot
you
all
got a
about
star
that, right?
poem. That's so
Oh,
pretty.
that's right, you forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'll remind you.
Oh
I'll
my
go look at the
God.
comments.
I want to share a poem with you.
Yeah.
Molly's going to look at the comments while
Oh,
we read
yeah.
the poem. But anyhow, the idea is that poetry, stars, night sky, should help us all feel warm inside. Talk about the size of the universe, looking out at the stars and seeing distant lighthouses, you could call them. Call them distant lighthouses, every one of those stars. Distant.
That's a good way to think of it.
You know, yeah, I mean, for me, stargazing is just like, the metaphor connects very closely with the ocean. But I have a William Wordsworth poem I want to read for you, and hopefully you'll just sit down with your little, whatever you're sipping, and just listen carefully to the words. It's not big science. This is the poetry of the stars. William Wordsworth. It's called "The Stars Are Mansions Built by Nature's Hand." The stars are mansions built by nature's hand, and haply they are the spirits of the blessed. Dwell, clothed in radiance, their immortal vest. Huge ocean shows within his yellow strand, a habitation marvelously planned, for life to occupy in love and rest. All that we see is dome or vault or nest, or fortress reared at nature's sage command. Glad thought for every season but the spring. Gave it while cares were weighing on my heart, mid-song of birds and insects murmuring, and while the youthful years' prolific art of bud, leaf, blade, and flower was fashioning, abodes where self-disturbance hath no part. The stars are mansions built by nature's hand. Thank you for reminding me of this.
Yeah, that's a beautiful. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
We
And
love
we were-
poetry, and I'm
and
sure
we
you love poetry. But anyhow,
I
we're going
know.
to shift over. We're going to shift over to
But
the moon.
still poetry, right? Yeah, we're
And-
shifting to the moon.
And this is going to blow you away. This is nothing we've ever done on this show. Molly's going to do a solo. Can I introduce that?
You cannot introduce. Yes.
Robert Louis Stevenson. How many of you read him? What a wonderful man. What a wonderful writer. Treasure Island.
And the
And-
Child's Garden of Verses.
And I don't think, I mean, we can always tell more things about Robert Louis Stevenson. He was a poet, a prolific poet. Okay, now you take it over.
Okay. So the book that this poem comes from, A Child's Garden of Verses, was something that I grew up on, and my mom would read me those poems when I was a little kid, and I had a lot of them memorized when I was 3 years old. So a love of poetry was something that was instilled in me when I was a little kid, and when I was working on my first lullaby album, which was when my first child was being expected, and it was very exciting, I really wanted to record a collection of lullaby songs for my little baby. And I found a bunch of them, but I also wanted to write some. And I found this poem, The Moon, in a Child's Garden of Verses by Robert Louis Stevenson. And I put it to music. And I'm gonna sing the tune of it. The arrangement that I have on the album is fancier with some violin and some cello and some more vocal things and whatever. But this is just the simple way of it, and it's a pretty little tune. And anyways, this is to that poem, The Moon. The moon has a face like the clock in the hall. She shines on thieves on the garden wall, on streets and fields and harbor keys, and birdies asleep in the forks of the trees. The squalling cat and the squeaking mouse, the howling dog by the door of the house, the bat that lies in bed at noon, all love to be out by the light of the moon. But all of the things that belong to the day cuddle to sleep to be out of her way, and flowers and children close their eyes till up in the morning the sun shall arise. It's such a beautiful poem. It's so
a beautiful voice.
Thank you. Thank you.
I can't help but think, Mark, keep your mouth shut. Let her sing the whole show.
You're so funny.
This is so sweet. I hope you're commenting, all of you, and applauding. Cause I hope we're looking over there and see. You can't get this anywhere else on the internet. I'm sorry, you cannot get this anywhere else on the internet. Molly is unbelievable.
The album you can't get on the internet, but I do have some copies of it. So if anybody wants some nice peaceful music to put you to sleep or to relax to or whatever, I have copies. This was on my first lullaby album for child number 1. It's on the album called Beautiful Dreamer. So you can send me a note if you want, if you'd like one. I have those. I have a second lullaby album too that was called Moonfinder, and that has a lot of other pretty songs. Child number 2.
I'm being quiet right now. I'm just being quiet. No, I'm not being quiet. I'm stalking already. But anyhow, we got to keep this show going. But isn't that wonderful, folks?
Thank you.
Very nice. Anyhow,
Thank
we applaud. Can I applaud?
Yes.
Please comment. Please send your thoughts and whatever, because the show is driven by an amazing, lovely lady, and we are so honored to have.
And this guy.
So go look at the moon this coming week.
Yeah.
Enjoy and soak it up. And I know you're going to be disappointed because the Perseid shower, which is peak day, let me look at here. The peak day for the shower is
13th.
Saturday, August 13th. That's Perseid shower. And for so many of you, I don't have to tell you anything about how wonderful the Perseid shower is in August. It's a favorite. And it's not the
Tell
most...
everybody why it's called the Perseid meteor shower, because I never knew this. This is kind of cool.
Oh, cool, yeah. So the Perseid meteor shower gets its name from the constellation where the stars seem to radiate. If you know where the constellation Perseus is and you're out there at night watching the Perseid meteor shower, all of the meteors shooting across the sky, most of them anyway, will appear to come from that constellation rising in the northeast. And if you want more about it, look up Perseus. Perseus, it's a horse. And the thing is that in early astronomy, you know, the earliest of astronomers, you know, 1 and 1 is 2. So they looked at that, where the meteors were coming from, and they named the shower after the constellation. We know today that while the meteors appear to be coming from that constellation, they're not at all. They're actually, those meteors are actually pieces of dust, and tiny pieces, no bigger than your pinky, a nail on your, just little fractions, tiny pieces. They're dust particles from an old comet.
Isn't that cool?
An orbiting comet that circles the sun. And the amazing thing about the scale of the solar system, the size of the solar system, is that things can be like a clock. Like we all know that the Earth goes around the sun in 365 days or 1/4, whatever that total is. We know that's precisely every year. And that's how we get our calendar. We know that the length of the day is 24 hours. Well, the thing is, it's so remarkable about these huge distant comets that circle the solar system, is that they're like clocks too. And their orbit is stationary. The orbit itself is, you know, it's like, I don't know, if you want to look like a road track, like where cars
like
race
an oval?
around.
An oval?
Yeah, an oval that's stationary in the solar system. So that every year, on that date, August
Somewhere
13th,
around, yeah.
August 13th, the Earth, precisely, pretty darn close, every year on August 13th, the Earth goes through that cloud of debris, of outer space debris.
And it's peaking then, right? So you can see them before the 13th and after the 13th.
Yeah, so this is, when you visualize a comet, I'm sure if you want to know more about a comet, you can Google, you can look up comets. So comets are objects in space that are made up of many gases and debris and all kinds of stuff that circle the solar system. They go around the sun, and some of them are annular. They do it every year, or every couple of years they come by, and some of them come in and they leave and they never come back again. But some of those comets that do come, sometimes the Earth goes right through the orbit. And so we're not colliding with the comet, we're just going through the dust trail left by the comet that circles the solar system. So that's the long and short of what a meteor shower is. Now, here's something to wave a carrot in front of you. Though this next week it'll be a real disappointment, because that brilliant, wonderful moon that Molly was just singing about is going to make the sky very bright. So you're only going to see the very brightest of meteors shooting across the sky. But stay tuned. For another year, the moon may not be. I don't know what it is for next year. But the Perseid meteor shower is not the biggest shower of the year. It's just the most convenient because it's in the summer. The Geminid meteor shower produces so many more so many more meteors, but it's in the dead of winter. And who wants to go outside and sit outside and wait, you know. So if you're looking outside at the Perseid meteor shower and the moon wasn't there at all, you could see between 40, 50 meteors in an hour. I've watched the Perseid meteor shower. I've never seen that many. But if I can see 10 or 5 or 6 in an hour,
that's cool.
I'm cool. I'm happy. And if you can go out there for an hour of stargazing, go outside with some.
Find the darkest
go
place
out
you can.
with some ginger beer or some hot cider or whatever you put in your. Just go outside and have fun.
That's right. Have
around midnight or whatever, at some late, and just go out and look, and you might see something. Right. You might see something. And if you do, please comment. And because you are my devoted audience, please comment about the subject that we just talked about, because we're interested to know how what range. I'm always thinking maritime this and maritime that.
Speaking of maritime, there was a whole lot of people thinking maritime in Hampshire this week at Meet the Fleet, right? It was
That's
like
right.
maritime on display, on steroids. It was
That
awesome.
So cool.
It was so cool. All of these fishing boats just all came in.
To Menemsha Harbor.
Yeah.
Menemsha Harbor is this, on the western end of this island. Menemsha Harbor is a fisherman's harbor, where the town still puts the fishermen at the top of the list for landing, for docking,
And
for
people
the
were
use,
bringing in their catches and
the commerce of the town. Other towns on Martha's Vineyard and other towns and other communities all over New England have shifted away from the fishermen towards other economic engines that drive a community. But at least in Menemsha they had on Thursday Meet the Fleet, where the general public could walk down to the docks and see the fishing boats. And Molly and I had an opportunity to put on a little program.
yeah, sang a few songs and
We sang some songs.
you read a poem
I read a poem,
that you wrote. It was beautiful.
and it was wonderful. You can Meet the Fleet is a more and more common feature of many coastal communities that have fishermen. Chatham does it. We know Chatham does it. They do it on the West Coast as well, and it's an opportunity to sort of like celebrate your fishermen, celebrate the business of our waterfront.
And it was a celebration. They had the kids' activities were like painting the fish and making prints with the fish scales, and the crab races. Oh, that was fun to watch. The little crabs going along, and they were all being rooted for by different kids. That was a lot of fun. And there was music, yeah, and food, and it was a lovely thing. Yeah, they had all kinds of pictures too. Remember the framed pictures that were all along the piers of fishermen that are known and loved in this community. That was really nice to see those.
And it was nice to be invited to be a part of that program for both of us.
Yeah.
It was good, and so we shout out to them and thank them for allowing us to do that.
Yeah, it was well done.
Put on by the Martha's Vineyard Fishermen's Preservation Trust.
That's what it is.
Which is an organization that's trying to help the local commercial fishermen, because it's tough. It's the obstacles that our local fishermen are dealing with are far more complicated than high winds and rough seas and availability of fish. There are a lot of issues, and it's not easy not easy for our commercial fishermen. So anyhow, that's a big deal.
Well, we have another song we're gonna do too, right?
Just for fun. Yeah.
Just for fun. You want me to put that one up here? We know it. We know this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. Ready?
Here we go.
Here we go. excited about that.
Oh my God, we're coming up to the. You have to do your little shout out about.
I had one more shout out that I wanted to make, and it was for a thankfulness for all things cold, especially air conditioning and ginger beer. And in fact, we were kind of desperate today to have a little experience of cold in the middle of the heat of the day, and decided that was a perfect time to go shopping, and we didn't care how long the line was going to be because it gave us more chance to be inside in the air conditioning. So that's kind of sad, but
I want to give more detail. We went hunting around the kitchen looking for things that we needed for tonight's dinner. We needed an excuse to go to the grocery store where we knew that the temperature was 40 degrees lower.
And we knew we had to get Klondike bars.
That's right. So
maybe some of you can relate to that.
And for those of you who know the Vineyard as well as we do, or closely as well as we do, you know that at this time of year, this place is overflowing with lovely, wonderful people.
And you normally would never choose to go to the grocery store at that time, but we had an ulterior motive.
Normally we would not go, normally we wouldn't dare.
We would be like, oh no, the line's too long, but that was kind of the whole point today. Oh, the line's long? We'll get to stay in the air conditioning
So we went to the
longer.
grocery store fully expecting, and we were not disappointed.
We were disappointed.
I mean, picking up our items was easy.
That was easy, and we're like, oh good, a long line.
Oh good, a long line. So by the time we left the grocery store, we were fully recovered from the heat of the day.
It did its job. So we share that strategy in case it helps any of you.
We share that with you because you may have your own challenges too.
Yes, you can share your strategies with us as well.
I want to thank all of our Patreon supporters. I want to thank those supporters who email and write us. I want to shout out to Bert Fisher.
Oh yeah.
Bert was at the Meet the Fleet, and he took some pictures of Molly and I, and Bert is a wonderful man.
Nice
and
pictures.
He's sharing those pictures with us so I can put them on the website and share them with you. And I want to shout out to him and say thank you. I want to thank all those people who support this program, support what Molly and I are doing. You know, the crowd that was at the stargazing event, you know, they could have been somewhere else that night. They could have gone somewhere else. There are plenty of excuses to do other things, you know, but they came out. And when we do a live program, we do a live performance, and people show up, like you are here tonight.
And we appreciate that.
We really do. You're the engine that drives us.
That's right. People have an interest in the wind and the waves and the water and the sky and all those things that these songs tell about.
So please give us feedback about how your show was tonight. How do you like it? What you'd like to see more. And you can even just send us an email too, because we have a wonderful following of people just even quietly email us.
Oh, you know this one. Sing along.
I also want to shout out Bill Mckay again. I know I can't get through the month without giving him a shout out. He and Mo, they're just above the top of the top. These are folks that, he's a sailor friend of mine, who in his heart and in his soul is sailing. And he shares his stories and thoughts and encouragements. He's also a Patreon supporter. Catboat lover. I'm the capstan. See the cable running clear. We do steer. Cape Horn. One frosty morning, and the sails were full of snow. Tied no sheets and boiled powders.
Let her off
And let her
go. Rolling home.
rolling home, rolling across the All right, last verse.
Oh, here we go.
What a good week, huh?
Oh, yeah.
What a good show. What a good participation. Thank you, all of you.
Glad you're here.
Many thousand miles behind us. Many thousand miles to go. The ocean will her wings us to their with her shore. Rolling home, rolling home, rolling home across the sea. Rolling home to Martha's Vineyard. Rolling home, we're not to leave. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. And we close with the sound of crickets outside.